Well, we've reached the final. Carter Christian and I are here from the Pavilion, a Beyond the Boundary podcast. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in during the tournament to our videos. We've gotten actually more traction on Beyond the 90, which is a soccer site. And that is where you get the Beyond the Boundary newsletter, is on Beyond the 90. But our dedicated YouTube channel from the Pavilion, numbers haven't quite been as good as on Beyond the 90. So after the tournament, we're going to assess what we do in terms of that, because it seems like more of you have tuned in via Beyond the 90, whether it's the Beyond the Boundary newsletter or just Beyond the 90's YouTube channel. Now, we are at a final, New Zealand against India. One of the topics we're going to pursue after the tournament is New Zealand's rise in this sport and the things they did about a decade ago, or a little over a decade ago, to get them to this point where they can contend for major titles. And they have been very good in this tournament. There have been some blips, admittedly. They were not able to see out that match against England. England managed that situation well in the Super 8s. And then, obviously, their clash with South Africa in the group stage, they played poorly. But in the semifinal against South Africa, that is one of the best performances we've seen in the history of T20 cricket at a high level. And Finn Allen went for a century. Tim Seifert did his part. That opening partnership was phenomenal. As I said on the review show for that match, I felt like Ravindra was going to get some runs as well if Allen had not been able to continue after he began to cramp up. So I just felt like New Zealand were in control. Their bowling attack was quite good in that match. Ravindra, one of the bowlers, Phillips, was I thought very, very good. And when I look back at my notes from that match, Henry, who has had some questionable overs, including that last over against England, where I said he didn't come in with a plan. He and the New Zealand field alignment didn't come in with a plan, and England won in that 20th over. Was very, very good against South Africa. Now let's talk about India. I've already released a video talking about why I think Jasprit Bumrah needs to bowl in the power play in this match, unlike the Windies match and unlike the England match. I think there is no question that New Zealand is going to get runs from their opening partnership of Allen and Seifert, especially in what is, I think, a pretty high-scoring ground in Ahmedabad. But if you can get one of their wickets early, that changes the match. That's advantage India. So I think if I'm Sky, this is the bowling alignment I'm going with in the power play. I'm going Arshdeep, 2 overs. I'm going Bumrah, 2 overs. Maybe strategically, when you think you can get a wicket, you go with Bumrah, and you're going with Hardik for 2 overs. What are you doing about some of the other questionable performers in the India side? I think that's a real question for me, because for me, I think India only goes 5 deep with their bowlers, and even that depth of 5 deep is at this point really questionable from what we've seen in the last 2 matches, the way the Windies and England have gotten to them. And I do think you're looking at a situation where there might have to be some changes to the team. You know, I talked about the other day the potential of Sky bringing in someone like Washington Sundar, who has a different kind of delivery, and who the teams have not seen much of in this tournament. So that's that's the thing that I think is in consideration, because I have to say, I think that India has a lot that I'm concerned about in terms of performances in key moments in this tournament. So they've gotten through this, gotten all the way through this stage, but there have been loose bowling performances. There have been some shambolic fielding until the England match. I think the England match, we saw how good they could do in the field if their head was into it. And I think a lot of that was mental earlier in the tournament. Maybe it's the pressure of repeating. Maybe it's the pressure of being at home. The one match they seemed to play without pressure was the match in Colombo against Pakistan, where they wiped them out. That was the best performance of the tournament for India. The other performances have all had significantly questionable moments. So who do you drop? I think that's a very, very important question for me, because my view is that they have not performed consistently. And while I say that, there are also guys that to me have played poorly in recent matches who played very well earlier in the tournament for India. So this brings up the question: is Abhishek someone you drop? I think that's the subject on everyone's mind. Is he the guy you drop? Because he's gone for a duck 3 times in this tournament, against the U.S., against the Netherlands, and maybe against Namibia. I'm trying to think. Maybe it was that match too, or one of the Super 8 matches. He has not played particularly well. You have seen times in this tournament where Varun has looked totally out of sorts. And if he's not giving you first-class bowling, if he's not picking up wickets, then that's the guy maybe you drop for Washington Sundar. Washington, I don't think is going to provide, I don't think is going to be a difference maker, but he may be consistent enough and relish this opportunity to where he's able to produce more from his overs in terms of slowing the run rate and maybe getting a wicket or two than Varun has in the last 2 matches. That having been said, before that, you could argue he was competing with Bumrah as India's best bowler in this tournament, and was better than Hardik, and was better than Arshdeep. So tough decision for Sky. Let's talk about this New Zealand team. I love this New Zealand team. I think we're looking at a team that is peaking, that has put so much into this sport, and is now peaking at the T20 level. The best opening partnership by far in this tournament has been Seaford and Allen. One of the best opening partnerships we have seen in the history of T20 cricket, in the history of competitive World Cup cricket, whether it be Test, whether it be ODI, whether it be T20. I mean, they have been remarkable in this tournament. And my view is very much that they are going to get their runs in this match. It doesn't matter who bowls for India. In that sense, what does matter for India is, can you get their wickets at some point? They may get a flow of runs. They may get 75 runs in the power play. But if you get one or both of them out, that changes the way the middle overs are approached, and obviously the death overs. So that is the big ask of India. Seaford and Allen can go they went for a combined 158 against South Africa. You've got to get them out at under 100, both of them, or I think New Zealand are going to win. And that's why those early overs, those power play overs, Sky has to change his philosophy. Let's talk about what some of the other New Zealand batters can do. If you get down to Ravindra, I mentioned I think he's very capable. Glenn Phillips is very capable. Daryl Mitchell is very capable. And then you look at what they can produce in terms of bowling with Henry, with Phillips, with Ravindra, with Ferguson in the overs he bowls. I think it's going to be very, very difficult for India. I mean, I'm inclined to say I think New Zealand are the favorites, but I'm conscious that it's in India, and India has a pedigree of winning matches like this and winning tournaments like this. But I do think there is a strong possibility that New Zealand wins this match. And I think the variety and precision of the bowlers I just mentioned from New Zealand, I think that will probably unsettle some of the Indian batters. So you think about Abhishek Sharma, who we have talked about consistently being off the pace in this tournament. I think you could get his wicket with some variety in that bowling attack in the power play, assuming he's still batting high up in the order as he would. So that I think is critical for New Zealand. Then the wickets start to fall for India. We see some pressing. We see some panic at times from India. And with the crowd the way it probably will be in Ahmedabad, there's going to be an inclination by some of the Indian batters in that middle of the order that they have to perform. And that includes Sky, who bailed them out, obviously, against the United States. Sansom obviously bailed them out against Windies. We've talked about those two matches a lot. But without those bailouts, those individual performances India's done in this tournament. They lose to the States, which means maybe they don't even make the Super 8s. And they certainly are out in the Super 8s to West Indies. The Windies were the better team in that match. I have no problem saying that. I've gotten some pushback for saying that, mostly from people from India. They were the better side in that match. But there are individual performers, and this is the thing to be conscious of with India. There are always going to be individual performers for India, whether it's Sky, whether it's Sansom, whether it's someone else, that really elevates their play. Obviously, Bumrah on the bowling end, that get them through matches, and we've seen that time and again, not just in this tournament, but consistently through the years. So, what are my key matchups? I think Finn Allen, obviously against Arshdeep, who we know will bowl at least 2 overs in the power play. I'm thinking Bumrah's going to get some overs, right? But let's say Sky stays conservative. Bumrah doesn't bowl the power play, or he only bowls 1 over. Then the Yorkers and the swing in the bowling attack from Arshdeep is going to be critical. You're going to have to get that wicket. You're not going to, I don't think you're going to slow down the rate of runs. I'm conceding that off the bat if I'm India. As crazy as it sounds. And you say, well, you can't go into a match thinking that way. Well, I think you're looking for the wicket rather than if there are going to be some overs, the Allen-Seaford partnership go for 15 or 20. As good as India's bowlers are. I'm just saying that. So if you get one of their wickets early, that changes the complexion because they're going to hit. They're going to hit you. Now, if you get to the middle of the New Zealand order, this is key matchup number 2 for me. Axar left-handed spin, I think is going to be very hard for the batsmen of New Zealand in the middle of the order who have been vulnerable to spin. And that's when we've seen wickets fall quickly in New Zealand matches. You either, in a New Zealand match, the wickets either don't fall at all and they win the match 175 for 1, 180 for 2, or you see them fall quickly because those first 2 batsmen are so good and then the middle of the order is vulnerable to spin. This is a pitch in Ahmedabad where spin, it's favorable towards spin. And then the other thing I'm obviously going to talk about is just the experience of India, the familiarity with these sorts of situations, and being at home. But that's versus New Zealand's recent form and Allen and Seaford's destructive batting. I think we're going to have a high-scoring match, which is why, again, I'm saying I think India is going to have to accept that they're going to concede runs, particularly to those first 2. But again, I'm going to stress this again. Bumrah's got to bowl early. I think if Sky doesn't make that call, and he's trying to save Bumrah for the middle overs and the death overs, as he's done throughout this tournament, New Zealand wins. And there may even be panic and a change in the plan because maybe Bumrah then is having to be inserted into earlier overs, and you're bowling him 4 overs, trying to chase something. And I guess this also matters who wins the toss, right? And who bats first and who bowls first. I'm telling you, my view in this World Cup is that you bat first. Most captains have not been following that logic. It would have been interesting if Harry Brook had followed that the other day. As it turns out, they still win if he doesn't drop that ball, that catch from Sansom. But I think batting first has been an advantage in this World Cup. Now, New Zealand chased a kind of low South Africa score in this in the semifinals, right? And as the chasers, they got there and they got there easily because that number was so low. But I don't think whoever bowls first is going to hold down their opponent the way New Zealand held down South Africa in that match. So I would bat first if I win the toss. Anyway, we will be back after the match to wrap it up, and then we're going to turn the page on this, and my colleague Ed Borth and I will be, Ed Borth, my colleague, will be back, and we'll be talking a lot in the future about some of the kind of historic and cultural sides of cricket, in addition to analyzing the sport and analyzing matches. So thank you for sticking with us through this tournament. And remember, you can subscribe at beyondthe90.net to get the newsletter. Subscribe to the Beyond the Boundary newsletter on beyondthe90.net. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. We're at From the Pavilion, or all of our stuff has gone on the Beyond the 90 YouTube page. Also, it seems like more of you are finding it that way than through From the Pavilion. So by all means, we might just continue putting these videos on all the available channels, because it seems like more distribution, more of you are seeing what we're putting out. So thank you very much.